Hello, Fermented folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here. Hello, Fermented folks, and welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we debate the best works in the genre fiction realm through the lens of film and books and shows and whatever the hell else we feel like with our distinguished guests. And sometimes we get drunk also, or do whatever, you know? We have a good time over here is what we fucking do, and we're gonna do that this Saturday morning for those in the PST, afternoon for our guest, Robert P. Ottone. Robert, thanks so much for coming on the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chop it up, and I'm sharing the link now on the Facebooks so people can watch.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's like saying posting and it's just spinning. Oh my god, it's like the worst internet.
Well, that's a much better strategy than posting on the wrong day. So good on you. We here at Fermented Fiction continue to strive to be the worst marketers of all time. And we're killing it. We're killing it. Like, good luck catching up. You guys are all a bunch of fucking chumps compared to us. When it comes to shitty marketing, you don't stand a chance. Robert
One of us
Ottone,
doesn't even
Sorry,
have one of us doesn't even have a smartphone, you know. Like I've made it my goal to be the worst of the worst.
You have, and you are doing it. You're doing it at an extremely high clip.
You're crushing it, man.
Keep it up, bud. Keep it up. You're the MVP of this team, and we all love you for it.
Thank you.
Since you went ahead and kind of put yourself out there in front of us, there, standing above the crowd, why don't you tell us a personal update first?
I will say, do you want the good news or the bad news, or both?
I guess I want the bad news half of it, and then I want all the good news and then the bad news the other half.
Yeah,
sandwich. We're gonna sandwich. The bad news has nothing to do with me, but it's something I'm very passionate about and quite upset about, and that is Netflix just acquired something new. I'm sure you've all heard.
Do you hate
but
this?
We'll get into that.
Hate this.
We'll get into that because then I'm going to sandwich in here the good news. Fermented Fiction's Patreon and Discord are live. So if anybody wants to support us on Patreon and become a patron, there's a lot of cool stuff you're going to get. You're going to get exclusive blog articles from all our kind of like umbrella conglomerates we've accumulated. So one of those is Meathead Media, which is this awesome review page, if I say so myself. I'm the worst writer of the three of them. Kent Harmon and Zeb Boos are killing it writing movie reviews and book reviews out there on Meathead Media. I also throw my hat into the ring every once in a while. We also have like a few reviews on a segment I call Only the Good, which is kind of just talking about what I believe are the greats in cinema, and Kent and Zeb are going to start kind of writing for that too. And then if you get in on the low-level patron page, you become a member of the Discord, and I will be doing a book club, some chat rooms, bunch of stuff, just good hangout things for that. So all that's live now. Clayton will share the links, I'm sure, or I can at the end of the episode, but it's fun stuff. And then the last bad news is what Netflix did acquire is WB. So Warner Brothers is now owned by Netflix. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's a thing.
HBO Max rolled into that as well.
Yeah, Warner
Brothers has owned them for a while.
Yeah.
So
monopolies are just kind of doing their own thing these days.
Doing their thing.
Kind of continue to be allowed to do that. It's dangerous precedent for sure to have that much of a stranglehold over any marketplace or any industry for one company. Especially when that company is already billions of dollars in debt. But that's just kind of how it works. So what are you going to do?
It's not finalized yet, but I'm sure it will be. you know, if they don't buy it, somebody else with more money will buy it, and it'll be probably worse. I mean, what's Netflix going to do? It'll cancel the Chair Company, which is the worst decision ever. It'll probably sideline all the DC Studios movies, and my boy wearing a Superman shirt.
I know.
Won't be happy about that. And
it will be just absolutely cheesed off.
Game of Thrones stuff will probably come to an end.
Yeah.
You know, Netflix likes to keep garbage bullshit shows going and like to cancel good stuff after one season or two seasons. So anything of quality will go away. Turner Classic Movies now will get a lot harder to access because the Scorsese and Spielberg can scream about it all they want. Netflix won't give a shit.
No. I think that what I'm the most sorry to start the show on such a downer, everybody, but I really think people needed to know that don't know. I think what I'm most scared for is that all of Warner Brothers products will now follow like the Netflix minimal release to theaters and then straight to streaming model, which I abhor. I hate that. I hate how it's like, oh yeah, my friend that lived in Los Angeles got to go watch Wake Up Dead Man in theaters, but I can't because I live in Montana and it's not coming to a theater here. I guess I'll watch it at home. But so sorry to start on a major downer, people. Hopefully someone has an update that's a little more lively than mine.
The thing that like with the theatrical stuff, right? Like I miss going to the theater as much as the next guy, but people have really ruined that experience for me. So Superman I saw at a drive-in up here. I live upstate now instead of on Long Island. And we've got like 4 drive-ins within a half an hour of distance. And I'll tell you, watching Superman disrupt a billionaire's plans was pretty fabulous at a drive-in theater. But before that, I rented a theater for the Batman and like had a private screening of it. And like I was thinking about doing that for Superman also, but I needed a new roof. So I didn't want to spend the money on that. But I totally get you. I have a lot of friends in the city who are like, yeah, we went to the Alamo and saw one battle after another or whatever. And I'm like, that's cool. I being surrounded by people in a
good for you. All right.
You know,
great.
But yeah, it is a bummer. It is. I just feel like the theatrical experience has been dead since even before COVID, which sucks. Yeah. Like I don't want to think of that, but it's true.
Yeah, and that was certainly a hefty nail in the coffin. It continues to limp along as best it can, and do go support your local movie theaters if you want to keep that experience available to people. I know all of us on the show try to do that to some extent, and it's important. It's an important part of the artistic journey for a film, I think, to go through the theatrical process. I don't think any filmmakers, when they start their career, their big dream is, I hope to see this on Netflix. We all want to see it on the big screen. That's your dream. Yeah, I hope someone watches this on their smartphone or on a fucking back of a headrest on an airplane someday.
I can't wait to have my decade-long labor of love algorithmically thrown in front of somebody who enjoyed Stranger Things.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like I can't wait for it to be reviewed first by like a swarm of AI bots to determine if anybody watches it in the first place. It's gonna be great. The future rocks, as you can all tell. Tune in for an episode of Terminator next month. So yeah, this is Fermented Fiction, everybody.
The thing is, just going back to the Netflix thing for a second, the thing that I'm most worried about, other than the DC stuff, like that really has me worried, the DC stuff. But like, what does this mean for the Criterion Collection? Does that mean that streaming rights for the Criterion Collection are now owned by Netflix, or is it a very loose licensing gig for the Criterion? Because like, I don't have Netflix. I haven't had Netflix in years. I haven't given a fuck about anything on Netflix in probably a decade. So like, there's nothing of value there for me. However, I do watch HBO Max all the time. Like they just got Shin Godzilla. I never saw Shin Godzilla until the other night. And that is pure cinema. Like that is probably one of the most incredible movies I've seen in 2 decades of film. And like, I got to watch it in 4K on HBO Max. So like,
Yeah.
Hell
thanks
yeah.
Warner Brothers Discovery for that. But it's just weird. Like I have all the criterions that I want, but it's nice having like a weird random one thrown in front of me sometimes, you know?
I do feel like if there's a fan base that is like, I don't want to say feral enough, but like the Criterion people, I think are gonna make a fuss. Like Barnes and Noble, I worked at Barnes and Noble for half a year, and like Criterion sale day was like storm of movie fans, just like point me to the shelf. I'm getting my movies, and it's like, okay, man, they're right over here. Like,
Yeah, dude.
so I
like
think
I walk into Barnes and Noble and I'm like, what's up with all these nerdy books? Like,
where's my Criterion movies?
yeah, where's the Criterion
Yeah.
store? I'll be honest, like I don't want to get Netflix, but at the same time, like if the Criterion channel and separates from them entirely, which I could totally see, I'll dump HBO Max and Netflix and just get the Criterion channel. Turner Classic Movies, those fans are rabid too. You don't want to mess with the hardcore old school movie fans. I'll tell you this, what really sucks is now Netflix owns one of the strongest horror film production arms currently functioning in Hollywood today. If this all goes through. Like
Is that A24?
no,
No.
A24 is not strong, stop it. But like no, I'm talking about like Warner Brothers in terms of like the Conjuring universe and all of that.
Yeah.
And
forgot
also
that was
The
dope.
Exorcist, like the new Exorcist movies. I mean, Mike Flanagan's now making yet another Netflix project. If that's the case, like, I don't know. It's just a bummer.
It is.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Happy Saturday, everybody. Jeremy,
Saturday.
pull us
Hey.
from the dredges of despair, will ya?
All right.
No pressure.
You know, I will do my very best. May have something. First of all, I'm going to say hello to Cindy Torres, Yasena Gran, and Warhammer in the comments.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, guys. What?
Holding down the jet.
They're holding it down. And so is Zeb, but Zeb's always doing that, so he doesn't get extra points for that.
No.
But you know, my my update, I suppose, is for people who listen to Spotify and things. The Spotify Rewind came out, and I wouldn't have known about this except my wife has Spotify. She listens and whatever, but this year for the first time she had a top podcast that she listens to, and it's this one.
Hell
So that was adorable, actually. I was for sure it was going to be New Heights or something, but no. It's us. Us
All right.
weirdos here together.
We are beating out New Heights at exactly one chart. And
Yeah,
That's all
exactly.
I need. That's
the only chart I was going to look at. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So hey, congratulations everyone. We did it.
We did it. We did it.
We
We're at
are-
the top of the Megan chart. We're absolutely killing it out there.
Exactly.
Take
We are
that,
chart
Chelsea.
toppers. It's
Yeah.
great.
Next, we just have to become award winners like Robert, and then we'll be well on our way.
That
We
would
need to
be
win
sick.
one
Yes.
award. Who's giving out awards? Fermented Fiction's right over here, y'all. We're looking for it. And while we're on that Netflix conversation, we're also 100% ready to sell out if you got that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it.
You got
Yeah,
that Ted Sarandos money? Shoot that shit right into my veins. Come on now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Come on, Netflix. I love K-pop Demon Hunters. I'll take that shit to the grave. Just saying, telling everything about it. Also, hi, Abby Flower.
One of
Happy Flower.
one of my students mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I was like, I don't know what that is. They're like, it's the most popular show on Netflix, and I was like, literally means nothing to me. I don't know what that is.
It rips, dude. It's so good.
Is it a cartoon?
It's an animated
It is an
feature
animated
film.
film, so.
So it's a cartoon?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
All right. That's cool.
But we are gonna debate it at some point in the future, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Is that a movie
here.
or a show?
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I do appreciate. I feel like most animations these days go for the show route, so it is kind of cool to see one stick with the feature film format. Don't see that quite as often, at least not in like American animation, I feel like. Okay, I guess I got to give a personal update as well. Yeah, here we are. We are entering the dark season here in Washington. It has been a couple weeks since I saw the sunlight. But today we have a nice sunny day out here. So I'm looking forward to getting outside today and hopefully going for a little hike with my lovely wife for the first time in like weeks. So that's like what I'm excited about today is getting outside. Because if you've ever been to Washington State, and it's probably similar in the Northeast, but this time of year just gets real dark real early, and it's very rainy and dreary and cloudy all the time. So any day you get any kind of sunlight, you got to get out there and enjoy it. But first, I'm ready to enjoy this debate with Robert P. Ottone. Robert, can you tell the good people of Fermented Fiction, of the Fermented Universe, which is currently 3 people, who you are and what you do and where they can find you? Thank you to you 3 people. We love you dearly. Robert, who are you? What do you do? Where can people find you?
Hi, I'm Robert P. Ottone. As you can see on the little scroll there at the bottom, I'm a 2-time Bram Stoker Award-winning author. My first novel, The Triangle, won the Young Adult Award in Pittsburgh 2, 3 years ago. I don't remember. And then last year I won for my middle grade book, There's Something Sinister in Center Field. And I currently have my newest book is this, The Navigator. It is the 3rd part in my young adult trilogy that started with the book that I won my first Stoker Award for. So that's out right now. It's the perfect book for a child that you know that likes to read. And yeah, I live in upstate New York. I'm originally from Long Island. And you can find me on Instagram at Robert Ottone. But more importantly, you can find me on Letterboxd at Robert Ottone. And I share the tea on there bigly. And so, yeah, I would love it if you would follow me. Follow me on Letterboxd. But yeah, that's me.
Robert, after your jabs at Stranger Things and the cartoon comment, I 100% want to follow your Letterboxd.
Thank you. I feel bad because my niece loves Stranger Things, right? And like I appreciate it in the same way that I appreciate Harry Potter, in that it'll expose younger people to our genre or reading in general or enjoying the things that it comes from. But like, I didn't like Stranger Things at all. Like that first season, everybody was like getting wet over it, and I was like, "This is Firestarter. This is it. This is like." It was really hard for me to like ignore the fact that it's every other thing packaged, and it's like, fine, that's cool if that's what you like, great. But then like I watched the 4th season, and the redheaded girl got all kinds of messed up, and I was like, well, she's too talented for the show anyway, so they got to get rid of her somehow. And then she went and was in The Whale, and now she's on Broadway, and she's like, yeah, I'm clearly the superior performer out of all of these children on this program. So I'm glad that I don't know if she's in the new season. I hope she's not, because onward and upward for her. But yeah, this show does nothing for me. It's cool, and I do like cartoons, but like I haven't specifically taken time to watch a cartoon other than like The Simpsons or old Warner Brothers cartoons, which if Netflix brings those back.
Yeah, guys.
There we go. Then Robert would be like, you know what? There might be something here.
There might be something to this whole monopoly.
Shut up and take my money.
Everybody has a price. Everything has a cost, including Robert's integrity, and that's just old cartoons. So hold your thoughts on Stranger Things, everybody else, because we're covering Stranger Things on December 30th with Alyssa Alessi. Tune in for that.
Yeah.
Before we do that, before. Yeah, you know Alyssa. She's awesome. We're excited to have her on. It'll be her first time on the show, so very stoked for that. I've gotten to hang out with Alyssa quite a bit at StokerCon. She's really, really cool. It's going to be fun. And the discussion on Stranger Things will be a lot of fun as well, because there's a lot of feelings around that show, just like there's a lot of feelings around the Thing IP, which, you know, I think some people probably think, including, I will fully admit this, I thought that Robert Carpenter's The Thing was the first Thing.
John.
I did not know, or yeah, sorry, John Carpenter. I'm flubbing words here. I didn't know about the thing from another world. That's totally on me. So when Robert said the original, I said John Carpenter's, and then he was like, "No, sir, that is not the original. You must go further back." And I did.
Original.
I went so far back that we ended up in the 50s. And you know, what a movie. Let's get into it. We're going to debate it. We're going to roll our D20s. If you don't know this already, we spoil everything on Fermented Fiction. So if somehow you haven't seen The Thing from Another World and you want to before you hear about it, go away. And if you can always come back. This will be live on YouTube and it'll be there in perpetuity right after that. But if you don't care or you've already seen it and you're just ready for me to stop talking and get into this, we're going to do that right now. We're going to roll 2 d20s. High roll will defend. Low roll will attack, regardless of what we actually think. Robert, are you ready to roll?
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay. Clayton rolled. What did you get, Clay?
Did. I got a nat 1.
Oh, Robert,
Yeah.
if you got anything better than a 1, then you won.
Oh, okay. All right, great.
The stakes
I
are
don't.
low.
What's that?
The
Oh, do you
stakes are
have a
very low
dice?
right now.
I can roll for you if you
Yeah,
don't
roll
get
for me. I
dice.
don't even know what a D20 is. What is that? I don't know what that is.
I got a
It's
15.
a 20-sided die.
Oh, that's cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got him in that 1 though, so he failed.
Well, actually, this one
I'm
did
sorry
not.
that you got a 1. That sucks.
I rolled a 15, which means, Robert, you are defending The Thing from Another World today, and you will kick us off, and Clayton is going to be on the attack. Remember, it is a shared 10 minutes. No one hog the mic unless you really want to, I guess. Keep it fair, but also aggressive. This is a debate that we love to have. Are you both ready?
Yes.
All right, debate begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
John Carpenter owes everything to Howard Hawks. And while I acknowledge that, yes, his version of The Thing is on the Mount Rushmore of horror, the discussion around it is boring as hell. Everybody acknowledges it's one of the greatest of all time. I get it. Everybody knows how great the special effects are. It looks fabulous. It's still great. It's interesting to see an all-male cast, especially one as diverse and interesting. A lot of stage performers, a lot of New York guys in this cast. The fact that Bill Lancaster's script actually incorporated a lot more from this original movie that was cut out. There were things shot for John Carpenter's The Thing that were cut out that were acknowledging the original film. All of that's really fascinating. However, we've talked enough about Carpenter's movie. And the only thing left, the only hill left to conquer is when Carpenter dies and his son reveals who was actually the Thing at the end of his movie. So I think it's time to talk a little more about the original. Now, the original movie is extremely claustrophobic. However, it's also brimming with sort of that post-World War II scientific endeavor and excitement. There's also, it's not just men in this cast. There is a very intelligent, very strong woman in this cast as well, who I don't think that they make it without her. James Arness's creature is just unstoppable. But this also has sequences. While the remake has a lot of gross out and a lot of fun and all that stuff, this has some sequences that were probably extremely difficult to shoot, including a full body burn. And I don't think we really give it enough love. Also, snow looks amazing in this movie. There's 2 old black and white movies where snow looks great. This is one of them. The other one is It's a Wonderful Life. So I would posit that this movie is amazing. It is absolutely worth watching. And for all the fans who are disappointed that we're not talking John Carpenter's The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing doesn't exist without this movie. So you're welcome.
I heard a couple keywords in there that I want to capitalize upon, and that is claustrophobic and brimming. I agree. This movie does feel claustrophobic, and the biggest reason for that is because there's 20 fucking characters in this movie. Only 2 of which are developed in the slightest. I should say three. The doctor, the captain, kind of the reporter, and our secretary Nikki. Right, and I agree. She is a pretty integral character. She comes with all the smart ideas, but man, to like try to pretend that is any sort of feminism is reaching. Because this movie bombs at the Bechdel test. She shows up once in a while to offer coffee and throw in a quippy idea. It is the equivalent, if we're trying to say it's feminist, of like a commercial with the dumb husband and the wife has the answer. It's essentially that in the movie. Every time she comes on, she's either being sexy or she's doing that. Now I'm glad she was there because we needed some female presence in this movie with like 20 male actors. But ultimately still bombs the Bechdel test. She's often just standing in the background. She's serving coffee to everybody. She is a secretary. So I don't know. That's a bit of a reach for me. Also, this movie loves to hear itself talk. It has so much dialogue, and I know that was common at the time. But I think there's an overwhelming amount of it. It's so much talking that I found it really hard to actually get engrossed in the scene, and also because I had no connection to any of the characters whatsoever. They're all basically the same character. They all kind of talk the same. And again, I think this is kind of common in older movies. I'm not dogging older movies in general, but that's definitely something that I think people will forgive this movie for because it's older, but I do not. I do not forgive it. I like movies where I can get to know my characters, where I can actually develop a relationship with them, where I can actually empathize with them and their journey. I have no reason to empathize with anybody in this movie. The captain is just authoritarian. He claims to care for his men and everything, but at the end of the day, he's really just kind of following orders. The captain is science over everything, which I get it. It's a common theme in the post-World War II era, but like, I don't know. I don't relate to him either. I don't empathize with him, don't care about him. And Arness was embarrassed by this movie. Like, I know it's old, but like, he literally didn't even want it in his like reel back in his acting days because he thought the role of the creature was embarrassing, lame, humiliating. At least that's what it says on IMDb. So if that is misrepresentative, blame IMDb, not me. But there's a reason for that. This monster is not unstoppable. He's pretty stoppable. In fact, they stop him with a door, and then they stop him with fire, and then they stop him with electricity, and he moves very, very slowly. I mean, he's like comically slow. All they have to do is throw a pickaxe at him to get him to jump on their little walkway, and then that's lights out for him. And what, he kills like 5 people, like, and a couple dogs. I don't know. I felt like John Carpenter, rather than, yes, this movie wouldn't exist. His movie would not exist without this movie, but he took everything about this movie that needed to be elevated and made it the movie it is. And I think people hear about this movie now because John Carpenter's movie was badass. And I think it stands the test of time much better.
Robert, you got time. Nope, you got time to rebuttal.
Oh, I don't care. John Carpenter's movie doesn't exist without this one. It doesn't matter. it's like
still a better movie.
Which one?
John Carpenter's.
I don't think a remake by definition is superior than the original movie.
Neither one. I think it's better because it's better.
What's that?
I don't think that either. I think it's better because it's better because it has actual character development.
I don't agree that there's no character development. I think you're missing the point in a big way. But the idea
Where's the
is
character
like
development? That none of the characters change at all. There's no arc to any of them. Like, the captain doesn't change. He shows up, he's the same all the way through the movie, and he just holds the party line. The same with the doctor. He doesn't change his opinion. He doesn't develop a better relationship with the captain. He's like science over everything all the way through. And that's literally how he dies.
Yeah, but you're thinking in terms of like narrative structure, right? If you're looking at this in terms of a realistic or an actual approach to solving a problem, right? There would not be a ton of character development. These guys would be like, oh, okay, we have an idea. Let's do this. You know, they're military guys. Their idea would be solving a problem. You know, it's like any military operation, they would come to a conclusion and execute it. There wouldn't be like, well, I'm going to grow as a person. You know, I'm so excited to develop more empathy for the common man. No, we got to kill this thing. This thing's going to grow more monsters that are difficult to kill. You know, it survives burning to death or nearly burning to death. It survives, you know, multiple attacks. It does get shrunk and destroyed through electricity. I like that part a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy this movie very much. I think it's an interesting one in the post World War II wake or glut of science fiction that we got. I think that this is one of the more superior ones. I know a lot of people dunk on them and the original War of the Worlds, or not the original War of the Worlds, but like the film adaptation of War of the Worlds. But I think they work. The Day the Earth Stood Still. I think if you're going to put together a Mount Rushmore of those classic horror science fiction movies, this one's definitely up there. I think the biggest problem in terms of comparison, right, of the two movies, or if you even want to be crazy and throw in the video game and the third movie of the thing world, the biggest crime for all of them is that they ignore the original story so much, because that original story is so good and there's so much that could be taken from that original story still. However, it is exciting to see people do different things with different materials. So it is cool to see Carpenter be like, I'm going to make a really crazy body horror alien movie based on this, incorporating some more of the short story. But also at the same time, because I love that original movie, I'm going to incorporate some things from that in here too, and just kind of be given the keys to the kingdom. It's also worth noting that Carpenter's movie, and I mean, this isn't an unknown thing, but it was a bomb.
Yeah.
Oh, 9, 8, 7. It's like New Year's Eve.
Pardon me for seeking narrative structure in a fucking movie, Robert.
Time!
Yeah, shut it, Clay. We're done.
Clay got the last word, kind of slipped in there. I don't know though.
A little bit, yeah.
The countdown was pretty loud. All right,
I don't know
people.
if I'd
That
say
was
slipped. I would say hucked. I just hucked.
Heart. Yeah, you Hail Married that thing.
I did.
Great debate. Love the points
work,
a lot
everybody.
of you made. And while we discuss a few things, one being fermented facts and one being our actual opinions, we always like to have a little drinky drink on hand. So let's start with Jeremy in my bottom corner here. What are you drinking while we talk about the thing from another world?
What am I drinking? All right, we're doing
What
that
are
now.
you drinking? I guess that's how we're saying it.
We've committed. The three of us are on board, so it's
You gave
it's
me
what
the
it is.
mic. You gave me the
Well,
mic.
hey,
That's true.
yeah. But hey, this is an old-fashioned movie, so I am having just an old-fashioned. Done and done. We've done it.
Well
hey,
done. Very good.
you
I might
come here
make
for
one
the
of those
theming.
I might make one of those
High
myself.
West, if anybody cares. But
I
yes.
started with coffee because it was like 10:30 and I hadn't had my coffee yet. But I think I
true.
might go make myself a tequila old fashioned during the 5-minute break because I've learned I love those. They are very, very
Freaking do
good.
it, man.
Yeah, love the kind of agave and the smokiness. Really mixes well with bitters. I use tobacco bitters, and that works very well.
That's all right.
Clay, what do you got?
For just the fermented aspect, black tea, because it's too early in the morning. But don't worry, I will get slightly intoxicated with y'all as well because I will do a little wake and bake. It's way too early for me to. It is way too early for me to be drinking. I just know how that goes for me. I'll be asleep by like 2 and sick by 2:30. And my wife will be like, "This is a fun day off. What a great hike we're not going to go on at this point." So I'm not going to do that, but I will wake and bake because weed's
Love
better
that.
for you than alcohol anyway.
You know,
Yeah. How about you, Robert?
Water. I'm drinking water.
Good,
I can't
good.
consume alcohol anymore, or at the very least, until my body regulates more. I'm on interesting medication that I learned about at Horror on the Hudson, the horror whatever thing that I went to. Had a horrible reaction to a fig old fashioned with my
Ooh.
meds and blacked out after one drink. So that was fun.
Oh, no.
Wowee.
Well, I'm glad you're drinking rain, as they say on At World's End.
You'll want that.
You'll want that. All right, some fermented facts for you people, and there are some really fun fermented facts about this movie because it's such a classic. So I'm sure some people will have some extras. I'm gonna just name off some of my favorites that I found. It is believed that Ben Hecht and William Faulkner, if there's ever a William Faulkner fact, I will read it because I'm a huge Faulkner fan. Good friends of Howard Hawks, contributed to the script. However, long-standing rumors that Orson Welles contributed to the dialogue are believed to be untrue. So, might not have been Welles, but might have been Faulkner. So you're getting a great either way.
Yeah.
This is the first of only 6 films that Margaret Sheridan made in her career. She opted to kind of drop out of Hollywood and be a mom. So she only made 6 movies, and I think she was a fantastic performer in this one. So, but that's, respect that decision to choose your family and not do the movie thing forever. I gotta find my list. Sorry. There's one about, here it is. While complaining about the difficulty in getting a story approved, Scott, the journalist guy, wonders what Truman's gonna say, and Eddie replies, Margaret. Harry S. Truman was the U.S. president at the time of the picture, and his daughter, Margaret, was his personal confidant that many people knew he would go to for advice. So that's I love subtle lines in movies that you have to have kind of context to understand, and that's definitely one of them. Already mentioned by Robert, but I think probably something a lot of people don't know is this is based off a short story. Just as a lot of people don't know that The Thing is a remake of this, I'm sure a lot of people don't know that this is based off a novella. What was the name of it?
Who Goes There?
Who Goes There? Yes, and I forget the author's name as well. I had it on here, but Who Goes There is the novella that it was based off of, and it had a shapeshifter alien. So they had in this original one, they actually follow apparently the first 6 chapters pretty closely, but when it got to the actual creature, they opted to not do some of the shapeshifter elements because it was 1952 and it was already hard enough to have an alien.
Yeah.
But then when John Carpenter made his new movie, he went back to that original concept of the alien being a shapeshifter, which is why we got what we got, The Thing.
That's a really cool thing too in the story. It sprouts almost like a balloon out of its back and floats around it. It's really fucking weird.
It's much weirder. Yeah. And that was written by John W. Campbell Jr. in 1938.
Thank you. Yes. Couple others. These are spoiler facts, but I think really cool ones. So this is a long one. Bear with me. When Scotty mentioned having attended the 1928 execution of Ruth Snyder and Jude Gray, another character asked him if he was able to get a picture of it. Scotty answers, no, they didn't allow cameras, but one guy, and then he's interrupted by the Thing's approach before he can finish. Scotty was referring to the Chicago Tribune photographer Tom Howard, who smuggled a miniature camera into the execution chamber, strapped to his ankle, and was able to take a famous photograph of Snyder's final moments in the electric chair. So if anyone knows that picture, really cool. Once again, subtle line in the script that if you had the contextual, historical brain, you would catch that right away of he was gonna talk about, but then the Thing approaches and he's cut off short. I just love those little details. Then the last one I got, and I'm sure someone maybe has others, veteran stuntman Tom Steele replaced James Arness in the fire scene. This is insane. Steele wore an asbestos suit with special fiberglass helmet with an oxygen supply underneath. He used a 100% oxygen supply, which was very dangerous. It doesn't burn, but it's an oxidizer. So his helmet, when he got lit on fire at 100% oxygen level, to yes, keep him breathing, but also he could have really gone up, and that was that's terrifying. But
that's insane. That's pre-code. That's pre-code, baby.
Yeah, man. Facts about old stuntmen or watching any classic Jackie Chan movies or even the comedian Charlie Chaplin. they're always like, how did no one like, well, I'm sure people did die, but like, how did not more people die doing these things? It's always crazy to me. But those are what I got, other than our little whether or not it was successful thing. But anyone else have a fact?
I want to chuck in one of the many things I was lying about in my debate. I lied about the whole debate, by the way. I like this movie a lot. I love this movie. This movie's just made in the perfect time because everybody acting in it actually fucking lived it. It's crazy. I mean, I have written down just some of the ones that were easy to dig in on, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the speaking roles were all military veterans, and this was World War II, so that everybody was a hardcore veteran. Like James Arness was honorably discharged, medically discharged after taking a bullet in Italy. Kenneth Tobey was a Navy pilot, a tail gunner on a bomber in the Pacific Theater.
And he lived?
He lived.
Oh,
yeah. Robert, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. The guy who played the doctor was Air Force Intelligence. James Young was a pilot, a decorated pilot, it is said, in the Pacific Theater. And he's from Billings, Montana. Fun fact.
Oh,
Dang.
I forgot that. Yeah.
And then Robert Nichols was a performer for the Army. It was literally his job to play jazz at bases around the country. And then he, after the war, established like a jazz music touring company in Japan. And he toured post-war Japan playing jazz. So that's just the fun facts that I found about the actors who were in the military. It's crazy. Like, when you start to watch a movie, I don't always think about all that stuff, but in this movie, I was pretty immediately like, this movie feels like watching a real military operation. Like, the way they're talking, the way they're acting. They're like, I knew in my debate I was going to be like, oh, the dialogue's stilted, but it's such a lie because it's like it's actually so real, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, this is 1951. Like, these guys were all literally like half this cast was in the military, probably.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's funny when you hear like military guys talk in modern movies, unless it's like very much based on reality or whatever. Like I made my wife watch Zero Dark 30, which is like one of my all-time favorite movies. And when SEAL Team 6 pops up, like about that, I guess it's like the halfway point or whatever. And then obviously before they come back near the end, when they're interacting with one another, it like, there's none of that like bravado. It's not like Predator, like with the military.
No, it's not like Predator.
I love Predator. I love Predator as much
too.
as, but it's like they wouldn't. Nobody. It's like an Aaron Sorkin thing. Nobody talks like that to each other. Like they just don't. But in like Zero Dark 30, like even in how they speak with one another, it's like, yeah, they're very militaristic, but they're also very like snappy, like we have to do this, boom, 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 boom. And this reminds me, it sounds weird to say this, but to your point, the military cred is like very much there, it feels like. So yeah, it's just a nice little detail.
And it's written in that. Sorry, I should just talk about this when it's my turn to go. Travis, what do you want to say?
I just forgot to mention that this movie got even more points for me because I am a, tried and true Montana lover. I love my home state. I will always be a fan of anything that gives it rep. And Glacier National Park is where they filmed a lot of the scenes, as well as the landing scene of the plane is filmed in Lewiston, which is where Clayton and I hunted growing up our whole lives. There's a little diner that we would always go to after looking for mule deer in Lewiston. So if anyone is driving through that area, stop at Eddie's Corner for some of the best pancakes you'll ever have.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
And Eddie's Corner is it's like a trading post out in the middle of the Montana prairie. There's a few big towns. There are a few towns around, lots of tiny little towns with like 50 people. and then this one giant gas station restaurant thing that's just in the middle of these two intersections of the highway.
Yeah, it's freaking
It
crazy.
is. It's an old school trading post out there for sure.
That's cool. That sounds
It is
awesome.
kind of it's
And you
novel.
you can definitely see like the landscape around it. When I read that fact, I was like, oh duh. Like Lewistown is the perfect location to look like the Arctic Circle. Like it's
Oh yeah, in the winter.
it's barren and cold and
Yeah.
freezing.
Judith Gap.
Yeah. Anyone else have any extra facts before I talk about a real brief thing on whether or not this was successful?
Well, let's see. One thing, barely a fact. It's more just a thing that happens in the movie. But when somebody says at one point that they pulled one boner in the ice, and I think that's something for the world to know.
Yes.
They just pulled one boner in the ice.
They did
Love
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jeremy.
That is a
Thank you,
fact.
Jeremy.
Yeah, cool.
It is in fact a fact. So I'm not sure
Robert,
how fermented
you
it
look-
is, but
You looked like you maybe had one more, Robert.
Oh, just I always appreciate like throwbacks to things, you know. So like in Carpenter's one of the things that they cut out is there's like the plants. He had
yeah.
the you know the plants that throw back to this one, and it was cut out of the movie. But like in Carpenter's one, I love the reveal of the ice. I almost want to call it like an ice coffin. Because it's like, oh, I remember that in the original, and it's like it's before the Stranger Things thing of entertainment, where a nod is, "Hey, remember this?" It's a little more
Perfect.
subtle, you know,
Mhm.
and it works masterfully. It's just beautiful. All of the little nods that Carpenter chose to put in were great. They were wonderful, and the best thing about the plant thing is knowing that Childs and Palmer were growing weed at Outpost 31 and enjoying it. So
Yeah.
the plausible connection of like they would have a hydroponic setup, and there would be this element of these, you know, pods or whatever you want to say, possibly being there.
Mhm.
So just a cool little thing.
I love it.
Yeah, and I agree with you about I feel like not having him grow the plants is a really important thing to take out of the story. Because that's like, I don't know, Richard Thomas, like we've talked to him on the show before, but he always says the horror should echo out afterwards, you know, in his class. That's something he teaches. And I think it is the regrowing of the new plants that like creates that at the end. Whereas in this one, in the Carpenter one, you feel like it's pretty much over.
Yeah.
But if there's like 20 of these things and you just killed one, now you set it up for, you know, them to get into the AVP universe eventually.
Oh. Yeah, I would
That's
love
what
to
we
see-
all want.
I would love to see
Trademarking that one,
a very
Netflix.
frail, a traditionally very frail Queen Alien rampaging through dinosaur bones like the fucking T-Rex in Jurassic Park. I love how all of a sudden she goes from this being that's very regal and stealth and not at all physically dominating to T-Rex. Very cool.
Yeah. Please,
We love it.
everybody, I cannot stress enough from these comments Robert is making to go read his Letterboxd because I'm excited for that. Was it a success? So here's the thing. I usually pull my numbers for box office from the website The Numbers, whose whole thing is box office. But this movie is so old that they don't have any. It's like $0. But that's not true. This was the 46th highest grossing movie of the year out of probably around 200 movies produced. So it did very well. I think it only came behind two other horror films, which Robert mentioned one of them, The Day the Earth Stood Still, came out the same year and did have a little more success than this, but it was definitely, and I can't remember the other one, but it was like third in this sort of genre of black and white horror back then. It was a successful film, successful enough to warrant this second kind of coming with John Carpenter's The Thing, which, like you said, was not a success initially, but has become a cult classic.
Yeah.
And then we don't talk about the third one. That doesn't.
I will be honest.
I
I
enjoyed
like
the
the third one.
Really?
Yeah, I will talk about it. Actually,
That's
we'll talk about it on this show for sure.
I think the prequel is wildly underrated.
Okay,
And
maybe I got to revisit it.
it's
I
also
agree.
very admirable that director wanted to do everything practically, and the studio is the one who made him do everything with CG.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's a brilliant idea for a prequel because it sets you up to create the dog story, which is
Mhm.
awesome. You know,
Mhm.
like I love that we now have a story for this dog that we know exactly what happens to it. And it makes it all the more terrifying to me to go back and watch either of these two movies. More Carpenter's, obviously, because the other movie is a little different structure wise, but yeah.
Mhm.
The video game too is a nice sequel. Like it's that video game has no right being as good as it is. I didn't play the remastered one, but I remember playing the original because I'm old and really enjoyed the hell out of it. Other than the end credits having the band Saliva, other than that, the game itself is actually wonderful.
Click, boom.
Yeah, exactly. But the coolest thing, and it's funny how the developers did this with the game, is they were like, well, anybody could be the Thing at any time. It was total bullshit in the game. Like everybody who turns whatever or reveals that they are the Thing, it's all scripted in that game. The only thing that is not like a scripted thing is how like quick your teammates like mental faculties break down or whatever. But that game is wonderful, and I remember just having a lot of fun with that and just like exploring, what would a sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing be, and knowing that John Carpenter is a hardcore video game nerd, I was like, I could see him making something like this now that he's an old man who likes basketball, video games, and weed. This is very good, and composing great soundtracks still.
Mhm. Mhm. Love it. Those are my fermented facts. And I think we can jump right into Clayton. You've already been kind of giving us a bit of your opinion, but why don't you just finish those thoughts? What did you think actually of The Thing from Another World?
Yeah, I lied about pretty much everything. I mean, there's, it's inescapable that there will be like problems of the times. So those are certainly in there, and that was kind of the like low hanging fruit, to be honest. It's an important thing to acknowledge and think about for sure. But I don't. To me, this movie isn't ruined at all by it because it makes sense in the scenario. It is a military operation. It's very much a military movie, and it kind of has that feeling throughout it, which I thought worked really well because there's a lot of authenticity there. I loved the scene in the plane cockpit when they're reading the manual and they're citing that specific. I mean, it was such a great moment of like comedic relief and like camaraderie, that you can see you sort of get to reap the benefits of it. It felt like watching a movie of a unit that's actually well functioning, well led, and prepared for a catastrophic circumstance, but that doesn't make a circumstance not catastrophic. And I think you kind of got to reap the rewards of those moments of camaraderie early in the story, when it comes down to it, and they have to step up and battle the monster and keep from falling apart as a team, and then also handle like interdepartmental conflict with the military, the government, the scientists, who's just going rogue and just like snorting Ambien and Adderall rather, and just like smashing science all night long, no matter what anybody says about it. And I love that, for him. I had a great time watching it. It was there's a monster, so that's kind of your like basic villain, but at the heart of it, you could argue that either the doctor or the captain were the true villain. I think it just depends on kind of which stance you come down on in that science versus restriction and progress. Everything in the name of progress. Knowledge is more important than life. There's definitely two sides to that argument, multiple sides for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what I basically think about the movie. I thought it was really, really good. I am a big Carpenter's the Thing fan. So I definitely can see all the seeds from which that movie grew now, and it's really cool. And there are things that I wish would have been still in the second movie, but you're making the movie you make. And it does sound like Who Goes There's monster Carpenter got closer to it by a substantial margin. And then it also sounded like, from what I was reading, that the prequel was kind of trying to step that up to the next level because they had better special effects. So every version of this movie has wanted to do a bigger monster and done the best they can. You know? And like it still looks pretty funky. But I mean, again, for the time that they're both in, I think they're pretty good. Yeah, but I had fun with it. I've had fun with the whole IP. I love isolation horror. I love Arctic horror. I love shapeshifters. So it's literally everything I could want, all in this movie.
Robert,
I love winter horror in general, or like cold horror. You know, well, I remember reading Crevasse and feeling very cold.
Oh, good.
You know, like that icy, like, oh, we're in trouble now, girl. Like that was like a very bad Ghost quote, like "you in danger, girl."
Direct quote from Crevasse. Free T-shirt if you can find it.
But yeah, so I've always like thought in my head of like what are the best cold weather horror movies, and it's usually this and The Thing, the remake, the John Carpenter one, and then I always lean very heavily into like, well, I also, and I'm, you know, it's unpopular, whatever, I don't really give a shit, but I really like Dreamcatcher a lot because that feels very cold and that feels in line in many ways, like, you know, not like a spiritual like love letter or anything to John Carpenter's The Thing, but it at least scratches some of those cold weather horror itches that one might have. And you know, like you can even kind of look at Carpenter's Thing as like a Wendigo tale in some ways, like the horror comes from within, the threat comes from within, which is always kind of fascinating. And I'll tell you something on this podcast that I've never said on any other podcast. When I was in college and I was trying to get an agent for my play and my screenwriting and stuff like that, one of the like spec scripts that you do or whatever, because I did a couple TV shows and I did a couple like IP type things to send out. One of them was a sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have a sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing that I wrote when I was younger and dumber.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you
the
think?
Monster bigger and better?
What's that?
Did you make the monster bigger and better?
There is a sizable element to it. I don't know that anything's better, you know. Like, it is on the Mount Rushmore, right? Like, you know, and honestly, like Carpenter has two things on the Mount Rushmore of horror, so it's like,
yeah,
sure.
What are you gonna do? You know,
what are you gonna do? What did you think, Robert? Of what were your opinions on the original movie? I'm sure you weren't lying, maybe, but maybe you were. Maybe you actually hate this film. Can you?
No, I love this movie. I wouldn't have yelled at Clay to be like, "We're going to do the original, not the Carpenter one." God damn it! No, no, I love this movie. I've loved this movie since I was a little kid. I had this on VHS tape as a child. I have it on DVD and Blu-ray now, and it's just one of those movies that I think is kind of timeless. I know it's you know, there are some elements that might be looked at as dated or whatever you want to say, and that's fine. Modern audiences don't always react very well to older things. I know none of my students would be able to watch anything black and white. It would never happen. But also at the same time, like, I enjoy going back and watching like where cinema comes from. I mean, if anybody's unclear, like I was talking about Turner Classic Movies and the Criterion, on the nose of this thing, right? So like, I don't know, old movies really tickle me in a way that a lot of modern stuff just doesn't. And this is definitely one of those movies that I think is superior to a lot of science fiction and a lot of horror that's coming out now. a lot of stuff really like that comes out nowadays is kind of boring to me and like leaves me very cold. Not in a fun cold way, but in like a it did nothing for me way. With notable exception. But yeah, I think this movie is as close. You know, that it's not perfect, but it is pretty close to it.
Jeremy, what do you think of The Thing from Another World?
Well, hey, I guess I will take and this is my very own opinion about this movie. Having gone in, I like to go in as blind as possible, and I would like to say that this movie was fine. It was okay. There's a lot to like, but also like it's got the dialogue that to me just feels like you've got a bunch of actors and you didn't tell them this wasn't a stage play type thing. And, just little things that keep kind of taking me out as I stop to wonder, like, hang on a minute, it's like 40 degrees below zero, they said. Why is nobody covering their goddamn faces? That shit hurts. That's distracting every time I see it. And like, it's weird hearing that there's a bunch of like actual military men doing military operations because, sometimes that feels right and real and realistic. And sometimes you have a dude barging into a room with his gun out, finger wrapped around the trigger, like that's okay to do, and just pointing it at everyone he talks to. Like, bro, no. Like, there are things I love, but they're like really silly. Like the music in this is incredible, but it's so it's very silly. Every time something dramatic happens and you hear this like oh, okay. All right. I was there already, but the music, it just hammers it home. And then we get to the big thing, which it's time to shoot and eat the elephant in the room, which is this movie's relationship with science, which I feel like is a bad relationship. A lot of anti-science messaging just throughout, and we'll skip past the thing of like how the movie ignores that freezing plants that aren't rooted to the ground usually just destroys them, and the movie's just like, yeah, don't worry about that. That doesn't happen. It's fine. But then you have the doctor, the scientist, doing bad science. Like, he gets this stuff and they look at it like, oh, this is plant stuff and these are seeds. And what does he do? He sticks them in the dirt and starts watering them with blood. Like, first of all, he already knows that blood is going to work, and he doesn't like try to figure out why the blood is helping keep this thing alive. Like, he doesn't seem to theorize like, oh, maybe that's just the only liquid form of water that thing can find for miles, or even try to explain like, oh, is there something extra in the blood that it needs and that water won't do? Who knows? He just starts watering them with blood. But also these are alien plants.
Yeah.
What if you just killed them by sticking them in earth dirt? You have a very limited supply of earth dirt where you are.
Try stuff out, man.
Yeah.
That's science, baby.
But he plants all the seeds. He plants every last one of those seeds, waters them all with blood, as if that's not crazy. But also that just eliminates the possibility of future testing to see, like, what about water? Or what if literally anything else? Nope, you don't get to.
It must be human blood. Let's start with that.
It must be human or dog. Human or dog.
Yeah.
Listen,
mammalian blood, and he doesn't even. He doesn't even try to figure out what kind of plant it is. Just like dirt, and there we go.
I've been watering.
just-
I planted over a dozen trees last year. I've been watering them with blood for fucking weeks.
Yeah,
So
there you
It
go.
does work. It does work.
So,
Yeah, you know.
I also think if you study like the history of a lot of science, a lot of it is just guys being like, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna try.
I know.
That is true on some deep level for sure.
But, you know, that's just hey. It's just the whole thing. And if we look past all that, there is of course the ending of the film where the guy goes on the radio and he's like, "Hey, we found an alien spacecraft and we destroyed it. And then we found an alien and we destroyed that too. You're welcome." And that's
Never stop looking up.
nobody's ever going to believe that. Why would they?
Because it was the 50s and like the
It
Red
was the
Scare and the
50s, I
flying
guess.
saucers were real, man. People would probably believe that.
Bro was
Jer-
just like, yeah, I
Jeremy's
never
point-
got a good picture the whole time, but this
To-
happened.
to Jeremy's point, like, does this exist in a world where the War of the Worlds broadcast actually occurred, or does this exist in a world where the War of the Worlds broadcast did not occur?
Yeah, I think
That's
We-
fair.
I want to believe. I want to believe it was the War of the Worlds broadcast did occur.
Yeah,
Um,
because then to
Now-
Jeremy's point, nobody's going to believe it.
This is
That
true.
happens.
This is true.
Okay. But maybe
I'm
that's
gonna-
just sequel bait. I don't know.
Maybe. I'll be real quick because I know we want to go to our 5-minute break here. I love this movie. I am also like Robert. I've become more and more a fan of kind of classic black and white cinema. I went on a Vincent Price binge a while back, and that was very fun. The Bat
Yeah,
one,
perfect.
when he has the claw hand, such a fun movie. So stupid, but so fun. And this movie, I actually thought, yes, it has the silliness of a lot of those classics in some moments, like when they find the thing and they cut it out of the ice. A lot of that was very like, exposition-y dialogue of like, I did love though the fact that they just all immediately are like, this is an alien. There's like no,
That's true.
like in a modern film, it would have been like 30 minutes of like, what is it? We're not sure. We have to like find proof that this is something. This movie is just like, look at this. It's a flying saucer and an alien. Holy crap. Let's cut it out of the ice. I love that.
Yeah.
But I do
That's
think
pretty
the majority of the dialogue in this film is like really well done. Especially, I was so hooked by that first scene around the table of the guys like jibing each other and like
Yeah.
making these jokes. They're very
Me
like
too.
in-house militaristic. I was like, oh wow, this is like very much what I look for in any kind of like trade movie. Like a person who does this really well is, I forget his name, but the director that made Only the Brave and the oil rig one, Deepwater Horizon. He kind of does the same thing where it's like these guys, he captures the dialogue of like what the actual workers talk like. And I think
Like
this
working
movie-
class.
yeah, working class. And this does that with the military back and forth. And like Clayton said, the scene in the plane when they're like joking about
Peter
the
Berg.
codes. Yeah,
Peter
Peter
Berg,
Berg. Thank you. The codes they have to read, kind of joking about that.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite part of it. And the fact that, yeah, I just thought all the relationships made sense. And the science didn't bother me because I don't know. I thought it was fun. Him just like
Yeah.
going nuts. Like,
He goes so mad so quickly.
I love it.
Dude, he
I know-
was already mad. Like that guy was. There's no way that guy was like totally chilling before.
Yeah, he was most of the way there just looking for an exit.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
two things. I don't let nerd shit like science stuff get in my way. I don't give a fuck. But like, to Travis's point about like, we would spend in a modern thing, we'd spend a half an hour trying to figure out what it is or whatever. What is the worst part of Alien Earth? Everything other than them going into the building and the first 3 episodes. Every single thing about that show is, gee, science? Should we do something that's ethically bad? Should we do? And it is so boring. It's awful. That show is awful. But like in Travis's and I'm not trying to speak for Travis or anything, but like in terms of like what you're saying, like they don't waste the time. They don't waste any narrative time of like, what are we dealing with? Blah blah blah. In Carpenter's thing, them doing that pushes the narrative forward. It's not dragging us along. Whereas like when we see something, for example, the alien and Alien, we know Problem, bad, not good. Stay away from that thing. It looks like a dick. That's bad.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Alien Earth show, it's like, maybe we should study this thing. Let's try and capture it. We could be friends with it. It bleeds acid. It must be good. Like, it's just, we know where this is going. Let's just get there already.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they left, and I have to make fun because everybody loved Alien Earth and everybody loved Stranger Things, so I'm going to dunk on both. But as soon as Alien Earth left the intergalactic 9/11 that happened, that show became dog shit. And it was like, I don't care anymore. So like when things waste time and add fluff and nonsense, to Travis's point, like spending a half an hour trying to figure out what the alien is, that's when I'm just like, I don't care, because we know it's something bad. And I get like you gotta nail it for the people in the flyover states or whatever that maybe are not gonna pick up on something so quick. But like, we don't need to spend time telling you about the alien. You know, like, you know it's an alien. You know what movie you're coming in to see. Especially now in the modern age of like the worst trailers we ever have had in cinema. Everybody knows what they're getting. Like, nobody's walking into Halloween 2018 being like, man, is that guy in the mask, is he bad?
No.
Is he a killer? I don't know.
He's holding that knife real close to that lady. It scares me.
Gonna happen.
I think it bothers me particularly in horror because it's like sometimes like that's not how people would react in a lot of situations. I think if they saw the alien, there wouldn't be this conversation of like, what was that? It'd be like, there's a monster trying to kill us. Like,
Yeah. Have you seen somebody see a mouse?
yeah.
Yeah.
You remember how the prisoners react in Alien 3? To the alien, they're like, that's a dragon. That's not good. Bye. That's how people would react. Be real, like, it's insane. And Clay, you're spot on. I see a mouse, and I'm like, nope. Call the exterminator. Call the fucking Navy. I don't care. Get out of here. Like, and like,
Just striking a match and walking away.
right. We bought a house, right? And like, we're in like a rural area, so we had a mouse in the house, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't know what's happening. I signed the first exterminator contract that was put in front of my face. And anytime I think anything might be wrong, I call them. And I'm like, you better come here. You better come here at 4:45. I don't care. Like, that's not my problem. I'm calling in the Space Marine. Send a phone. Send fucking Hicks. I don't care. Oh, it's just a field mouse. I don't care. Kill it. I want it dead. I want its family dead.
I didn't hire you for your opinions. I didn't call you for your opinions. And don't worry, we will put the Navy's phone number in the show notes so that you guys can call them if you ever have a mouse problem.
Thank God.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. But hopefully it doesn't happen in the next 5 minutes or so, because that's how long you have to survive to continue enjoying the show. We're going to go on a 5-minute break. Robert, go ahead and turn off your video, and everybody else do the same, and I'll play that video.
Back in 5.
Back in 5. Hello, Fermented folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4. The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains, like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know?
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset.
So, in your assessment, what did you think of the everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, like romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that
you know,
seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots.
Yellow.
right?
His beards are yellow.
Right.
Imagine like discovering mummy remains and like, oh my god, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's like very like hard-nosed at the beginning. And then like, I will say another pro of this movie is like their chemistry is hot. And like, I feel like if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been like, ugh. Because she says at one point, she's like, oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Like, fuck. And he's like, and then later when they like are like kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was like two lesser actors, I think it would have been like an eye roll, like felt cheesy, but like you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending like, you know, Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, I mean, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up. You know?
Yeah. Dedicate
still-
that
yeah,
time.
settle
You're willing
twice.
to willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things
Oh, that
I've
was
done in my
so good.
life.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
All right.
Well.
Hopefully Robert's making his way back here. Welcome back from our 5-minute break. Now we're going to have some questions for the panel, as well as, of course, our esteemed guest. And you know what? Unless the mouse got him. I hope the mouse didn't get you, Robert.
Yeah.
Robert, do shout if a mouse has you right now. We'll alert the
We'll
Navy.
send the Navy.
We'll send the Navy.
Call the police. I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, thank God.
You made it. Oh,
The
thank
mouse
God.
didn't get him.
Those
Thank
winter
God.
mice are real trouble.
Yeah,
It
those
would have
ones-
sucked. We had an hour of good footage, and then we would have had to not use it because Robert had to die on.
Robert
screen.
died from the mouse. I do love in like cities. So I lived in Philly for 3-ish years. Well, 2, like 1 full year in the city proper, and then 2 years outside of it. But when you like go to the subway, you can tell it's night because the mouse turn into rats. And it's like,
They
oh,
do. They-
oh yeah,
they
it's like
evolve.
6. It's 6 p.m. now because all the rats are out and the mice are gone.
You want to hear something crazy? All the times that I've been in Manhattan, or like Queens or Brooklyn or wherever, I've never seen a rat. However, I went to Toronto and I'm having dinner with Gemma Files and like a bunch of other cool author people, Duncan Ralston, Tim McGregor. We're all having dinner. Rats everywhere. Like I was like, what is happening? Isn't this city supposed to be clean? What is going on here? Like, what?
Rats
But
everywhere.
very strange, very weird.
Very strange. Rats.
Well, I
I
have a new
think,
drink, by the way.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
Coca-Cola. Oh,
It's the Lidl brand soda. My wife's not here, so I'm being a bad boy and having a soda.
That'll learn her.
nice. I want to kick off by talking about something that rats flourish when, and that's vibe and atmosphere. Like every time you see a rat, you know that
They
there's
be
a vibe and an atmosphere. But my first question is around that because I do think both The Thing John Carpenter's The Thing and this movie, The Thing, we've mentioned the words claustrophobic. They thrive off of a certain type of atmosphere that they've created for their settings. And yeah, I'd just like to. So the first question is kind of to speak on those from the movie point of like, what is it that makes that so successful? That isolation type of horror works so well and maybe sometimes don't work. And then from an author's standpoint, we'll start with you, Robert. Like when you're creating atmosphere for your books, how do you go about that? Is it all purely based on the setting, or is there kind of a level of description and character development that plays into the atmosphere as well?
I think of I usually think of the characters first, and then I decide like what kind of situation do I want to put them in. And I think often a lot like that feeling of isolation can come from anywhere. Like I'm in like I said, I'm in like a rural part of upstate New York now, but I do have neighbors. But that said, if I really need help from a specific kind of help, right? Like I might not be able to get it. I might not be able to get it like right away. Thankfully, I have good neighbors. They're very capable, individuals, and they're very helpful. But if I was in a place where I didn't have that, that would be very isolating. So, like even in my book, The Vile Thing We Created, even though the couple live in a suburb and they're surrounded by people, and they live in like a very developed part of again upstate New York or whatever, they're isolated because they don't share the same feelings that a lot of people do. Like they don't want to be parents, they don't want kids, and that feeling is very isolating to them, and it the isolation becomes too much for them.
So a little follow-up on that, like it seems like the encounters with the area surrounding them kind of help create that atmosphere. And I'm wondering specifically with this movie, how much of it do you think is that we're in the Arctic Circle, we're in like this laboratory, and how much of the atmospheric kind of claustrophobia feeling do you think comes from the interactions between the characters of like, because I'm imagining, you're not only in this place where you can't get help readily, you're in this place where you can't get help readily with a commander who's hell-bent on his mission and a mad scientist. Like that would make you feel even more isolated of like, I'm not only alone, I'm alone with these people that I don't want to be alone with. So yeah, could you speak to maybe how much of where that balance fits, and what do you see in writing stories, like how to create that world?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time, especially like when I put my own fears into something, they're fears that other people may not always connect to. And I find that like you can call, I don't know, I call them the normies, but you can call them like Gen Pop type people. Don't typically see the spooky side of things like in a regular way. Like there's a lot of people that like I've worked with or people that I've known have always just kind of been like, yeah, I wake up, I go to work, I have kids and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, but what if something like this were to happen? They're like, oh, I don't even know. Like they can't even think of it. So like in the sense of The Thing, right? Even all three really, if you think about it, but like the most capable crew of people is in this original one. Like these are the people you ostensibly would hope to be around. There is more of them. Right. They're all soldiers. The scientist is nuts. But, at the end of the day, like if you're not willing to get science your problems away, you can at least blow it up, and it's like, bye. But looking at John Carpenter's one, everybody's you get the impression that Outpost 31 is kind of where the military or the government would send their scrubs. Like they don't necessarily want those people around normal people. And I think like I mentioned before that I just watched Shin Godzilla. There's even an element of that in Shin Godzilla. Like the people who end up figuring out how to stop Godzilla are literally described as like, these are the people we don't want. Like these are we're going to task these people with trying to figure out how to stop this thing because we're not using them. They're useless to us otherwise, but they're weird and creative. So put them all in the room together and try to figure it out. And it's in John Carpenter's. It's like, well, you have an alcoholic pilot who wears a sombrero. You have a backup pilot who's a pothead. You have an old man scientist who looks like he's on his last legs and is probably shilling diabetes medication. Like even Gary, the commander, right? He does exactly what they do in the 50s when he comes in with his revolver, and waves it around right away. That's like his immediate response, right? And so you have these guys who are like very incapable of handling, especially a monster like the one that John Carpenter and Bill Lancaster are unleashing on people. Like I would not want to be with the Outpost 31 crew. I would rather be with the 1950s guys for sure.
Yeah. Clay?
That's true. I think the main shift for me from a story perspective is the way it changes the nature of the conflict. You can get isolation either way, but it's a different kind of isolation when you're by yourself. I am a big fan of the show Alone because it's like they actually go out there and are hardcore survivalists and really do it. People last like 70 days is a really long time. So it's like, and what usually gets to them the most isn't like finding food. I mean, some people do run into trouble with that, but if they have all that stuff figured out, it's always the psychological aspects that get to them. So I think it cultivates a different kind of vibe when you're by yourself. I think there's a level to it where people who are ready for the task at hand are probably more efficient by themselves on a lot of levels in those survivalist circumstances. But as soon as you develop systems and you're not working as hard and you have to sit still, I think the psychological horror really creeps in. And the other way around is having a team. I mean, that's like the same stakes, but now you have to do it with more people, which sounds like it'll be easier, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It's there's now a lot of personalities. There's a lot of conflicting morals and ethical viewpoints, and you have people in different positions of power that don't have direct, strict power over each other, but feel like they should or do. I'm not sure exactly who this scientist is from, but he does specifically go, "You don't have authority over me." So he's clearly not in the military, or if he is, he's a higher rank, but that's not really how the military works. So
unless he's what was the precursor to the CIA post World War II? Is not OSS or O&I?
Yeah,
O&I, right?
I think so. Yeah,
if he was that, then he'd be like, I run this whole thing.
He'd just be like, no, I am going to do what I want.
Yeah.
So he seems to be like an affiliate kind of corporate doctor of some kind, or
OSS. Office of Strategic Services. OSS.
There you go. So that's agency before agency. So it would make sense that he'd be throwing his weight around a little bit. But to Clay's point, and this is something that I see a lot in narrative lately, especially. I don't know why, but and I think I first noticed it when I was a little kid in movies. But when they have the person who is the experts, or let's say, I'll just use the example here, Muldoon in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In totally different character, book to movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When because again, I think I'd seen the movie before I read the book because I was a kid. But I remember seeing the movie and he dies, and even as a child being like, how would they get
of all the people, that's the one they got first?
Yeah, it just doesn't. It makes no sense, and it's then you have a modern stuff, and I'm trying to think of a really good example of something where somebody who's very clearly equipped to handle a situation is dispatched of, and it's just preposterous, and then all of a sudden Julia Garner saves the day. It's I don't.
It would be Julia Garner. She's everything.
She's saved a lot of days.
She has.
But like, that bothers me, and it's just weird. It's not realistic at all. You know what? I'm glad you mentioned Alone, which is a show I've always wanted to watch, but I have no idea what that's on.
Netflix.
What is that on?
Netflix, Warner Brothers, HBO Max, Disney.
Damn it!
But, got you, Robert.
Or you can get it on Apple TV Premium Plus Pro.
There we go.
Oh, good. Actually, you have Apple.
It's only $200 a month. So.
Oh my god! So
practically a steal.
It's funny that you mentioned Apple because the show that I tried watching was is Alone the one? Wait, is Alone the one with Jason Clarke?
No, it's a reality show where it's like Survivor Man, but with like a whole group of people.
Show.
It's pretty crazy.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so there's a show with Jason Clarke who was in Zero Dark 30, and it's on Apple. I don't remember what it's called, but it's one of those situations where it's like, this guy's clearly capable, and his team are clearly capable of handling this like downed plane filled with criminals or whatever that goes down in Alaska, some godforsaken place, and like.
Sure.
All these guys somehow, all these like thugs overpower these like cop military trained professionals who all have guns. And that thing that bothers me so much because it's like, this would not happen. This just would not happen. And that kind of thing draws me out of it. Whereas like in the case of the tension coming from like the people around you and stuff, like with all three versions of the thing, really. You could buy it a little bit more because the threat is from within. And obviously in the one that we're talking about today, specifically, it is an external threat, whereas in the new one, or the second and third one, it's from within. But like, there's still that element of like, the scientist is working against us. The guy who's at the top is working against all of us. So like, we need to do something. And even though he is, I think there is another guy who is sort of like on his side a little bit.
Yeah, I think, well, basically the rest of the scientific staff is like, yeah, we'll just do your thing. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. This sounds good. You need more blood?
That was good character work, actually, with Nikki's character in this movie, too. And she was actually sympathetic to the scientists. She saw him as like a hard worker and somebody who was under a lot of stress and saw across the lines better than anyone else, I think, because there was just like team military, team science, hallway, face off, yet again. You guys still want the monster? Still can't have it. Fuck you. Get out of here. And then they're like, this is science. You cannot do this. You're ruining humanity. So yeah, it was fun though. But Jeremy, you look like you got something to say there, pal.
Real quick, Jeremy. I think we've circled around Alien a lot, and I do like to Robert and Clayton's points. I think the first Alien does this so well with it's bad enough that they're trapped in a spaceship with an alien. It's worse that like both Mother and the android are against them, like trying to actively make them like alien food. And so I think the more I think about it, those are the best isolation horrors where it's like, yeah, we're in a situation that would be terrible already, but now we're going to add like 4 different elements that make it even worse. But yeah. Jeremy.
No, yeah. And I think that absolutely is true. And like, when it comes to isolation and trying to create that feeling of like claustrophobia, Alien is really good for this because, you need to create like a reason why somebody can't or even just shouldn't leave. I think space is a great setting for that. But I think ships at sea or like extreme weather in isolated locations is maybe a little bit better because you give people you give normal-ish people this sense of hope that like, oh yeah, I could maybe make it out of there when they're going into the movie, but then you can like sort of dole out all the various reasons why no, you actually can't just wander off at the North Pole like this movie does. Like, yeah, we can be out there for maybe an hour and that's it. Otherwise we die. We all die.
I'm just curious. to piggybacking off what Jeremy's saying, and also the alien connection. Was anybody else stupefied and disappointed by the concept of the last voyage of the Demeter literally not just being alien on a boat? Like, how do you fuck that premise up and just not make Dracula the alien picking people off for an hour and a half? Like, this makes no sense. Like,
or to talk about atmosphere, like how do you mess up the scariest chapter in one of the most classic horror books of all time? Because like the Demeter captain's journals still send shivers down my spine. Those are so well done, and I was like, oh wow, they ruined it.
I've never seen a stronger fumble in my life than that movie. And it had so much promise, but it builds on exactly what you guys are talking about. Like, it had the potential for an insanely tense, well-acted, terrifying premise that is terrifying to read on the page. But then when executed in film, it's just one of the worst things in the past 10 years of horror, and a monumental disappointment and waste. It's crazy.
I will say Robert Eggers did it justice in 3 scenes in Nosferatu. Those were scary 3 scenes, but again, we only get like a portion of the movie is that the ship scenes.
Is that streaming anywhere?
HBO.
Okay.
HBO Max, Netflix.
HBO Max, Netflix. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I'm not a big. I like some of Robert Eggers' stuff. I don't like all of it. I think his brothers made a superior movie to anything he's done. But
what was that?
The Front Room, starring Brandy.
I haven't seen that one.
It is a camp classic. It is a fucking masterpiece.
I have to check it out. We are fanboys of Eggers on this show.
Wonderful.
Clay, you looked like you maybe had a thought, but if not, I'm moving on.
I have I guess a small thought, or it's also kind of a question. So if you really want to ask your question, you should.
No,
otherwise
go ahead.
I can ask this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that the horror in group dynamics works better for you guys because it is more relatable than the isolation of like a survivalist or one person doing it alone? Do you think it's easier to relate to interpersonal dynamics at sort of a higher buy-in, just from the base? Does that make sense? I feel like we all know what it's like to work with people, have our family over, do all these things, right? Where we navigate awkward and high stakes, high tension interpersonal relationships. We all have that somewhere. But I don't know, maybe people feel they can't quite relate to or understand unless they've done it themselves, the like extremely high stakes, like movie level circumstances that characters find themselves in. It feels unreal on some level, maybe, that the interpersonal conflict doesn't. What do you guys think?
Robert?
Oh, I'll start? Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. I think I do relate to the group element. I am a teacher in my real life and like my real job, and I do have to work with other staff, right? And but to that point, I don't like doing group projects. I never liked doing group projects in college, in high school, in middle school, none of that. I don't trust anybody else to get the job done other than myself. And I hate having to rely on other people, because I think horror has kind of taught me that if you have to rely on other people, a lot of the times they're going to let you down or they're going to get killed by a guy in a mask. And it's going to be you against him anyway. So I think that's an element of it for me. But at the same time, like, I do recognize the group dynamic, especially in something like It or something like Stranger Things. Like, there is a nice element of like, we do need to come together and work together to stop something. And if we could just put our nonsense aside for 2 seconds, we can get the job done. I think a lot of my stuff for younger readers, like, does talk about how it is important to work well with others. But yeah, I do feel more often than not that, like, when it comes down to it, a survival story is perhaps more interesting for me personally than a group horror concept. But I will say too, like, if you think of this trend of like modern horror, right? A lot of it's being made by younger filmmakers, and a lot of younger people are not good at communicating with one another. And a lot of the times modern horror does fall down to a very small story. Look at something like Bring Her Back. It's a very small story. Not that it's not good, but it's a small story. Look at Talk to Me. Talk to Me. I'm contractually obligated to say it with an Australian accent. Like, it's a very small story that, like, if it were to just get a little larger and bring more people into it, that story's over. And if communication was the thing that these people could do, these stories would be over. Whereas something like John Carpenter's A Thing and Christian Nyby's / Howard Hawks's Thing from Another World, people could communicate better, and that's like kind of the important. Oh, in Carpenter's, it's like the breakdown of communication is the problem. Whereas the guys in the original movie are like, no, we could do this. Like, if we all work together and put our minds to it, we could do this. And we just don't have a lot of that now in horror because people just don't know how to communicate anymore.
And there's that added element of, speaking of like teenagers specifically, like the added element of social media, and like we are both communicating with more people, but also more anxious about communication in general, which is its own kind of weird thing. I'm also a teacher, so I hear you, Robert. I think for me, Clay, to answer the question, like, I think it depends on the type of story you're telling. Like, I think the solo horror survivalist setting will always kind of be more generally scary for me, where, like, if I'm thrown into that, I'm automatically feeling this fear. But I also think it's hard to balance the pacing with that. One of my a movie that surprised the hell out of me liking it for two reasons. One, it's called Buried. It's about a guy in a coffin, which sounds terrible, and it stars Ryan Reynolds. So it's Ryan Reynolds in a coffin, and like that setup is like not going to be great on the face of it. Really well done, really well paced, and a good survivalist horror thing. But I think where group ones can work better, but more rarely so, is when there's a distrust, like in The Thing, or in 1998's The Faculty. Like, there's something about the group that we have a suspicion about. I think that becomes a really, really creepy, scary dynamic that's better than a solo survivalist thing. Whereas if it's just a group of like, we know these are all good guys and they're fighting the bad guy, I'm not as scared. But when it's like, there's a bad guy out there, there's a group of us in here, and one of us might not be what we think we are, that becomes like very terrifying. So that's kind of and go watch The Faculty if you haven't. I think it's a very underrated horror film.
Well, maybe I will. You don't know.
That's one of the things I like most about shapeshifter horror is it's sort of that next level. Like, people don't fear change, they fear loss. And if there's no more profound loss than that you experience in like a shapeshifter monster or possession monster story, because you have to watch it happen, and then you have to watch like the shell of what used to be your loved one become something that is predatory towards you, trying to kill you. That's such a like relatable, deeply rooted societal human feeling that we can all kind of like, we can all grasp onto that and recognize the real emotions behind it. So when it's well done, it's one of the scariest forms in horror to me, one of the scariest structures.
Yeah, I think one of the scariest endings of any movie I've watched in the last like 10 years, which always, I hope this isn't too much of a pretentious answer, is not from a horror movie. It's from Joaquin Phoenix's Her. Because like there's the whole movie is a romance or like this sci-fi film, but the ending is like, did she just use him the whole time to like gain a higher level of agency, and now she's gonna like leave him to become this autonomous thing? And it just ends. And I was like, oh, that is terrifying. Like, I am really freaked out right now. So that to your point, Clay, of like, watching something you thought loved you become this like monstrous thing is so freaky. But Jeremy, I've interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
Have you? Well, I guess to the point of like Clay's question, I'm actually going to circle around to something that Clay mentioned in his debate when he was still lying his ass off. But
Yes.
but I think you were right when you were saying that having this huge cast of characters in a very limited space, like having multiple people anywhere just makes any space you're in or watching just feel smaller and that much more perilous if there's like some shit going down. While also like as an author or anybody just giving you an excuse why people would be like sort of communicating things and explaining things to one another that you otherwise wouldn't have in like a solo survival story. And plus, in a survival scenario, like the difference between having one person and two people is like with two people, you need double the resources to survive. And if any of those resources are finite, you have half the time that you can actually survive there. And that just adds a little more urgency to the plot. It certainly adds to this, especially when like the monster like somehow cuts the power and turns off the AC. Don't know how he did that, but he did it, and good for him. But like beyond that, and also well illustrated in this movie, you sometimes do have to convince people to do the thing that will make them survive, which is adds nice drama to things.
Yeah. I think there's a quote I've seen on the back of a sports sweatshirt that I think applies to this, even though it's talking about sports. I think it's really excellent for like group versus individual and in general. It's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that's a lot of this. Like, yeah, one person is going to have one goal and they're going to get the thing done. But like then, like Clayton talked about, that psychological element's going to start to build in there of like, I am out here by myself. And like, that's very hard for human beings to be. I want to ask you, Robert, like kind of an unrelated question to steer it away, but I just have to, because I've only gotten asked this to one other person. That was Paul Tremblay. Young adult horror is such a like niche corner. I feel like for at least for me, I usually, when I think of horror, I think of adult, I think of very graphic, I think of terrifying in that sense. But I recently read Paul Tremblay's young adult horror without knowing it was young adult, and like kind of just being like, this is terrifying. And then, oh yeah, it was written for middle grade, I guess, but it sold for me. And your book's very well awarded. Same thing. How do you go about doing that? I'm sure you've been asked that a lot, but I just am so curious about how do you take this standard or stereotypically very grisly graphic genre and make it just as terrifying, but also consumable for like a younger audience?
Yeah. So it kind of comes down to like again, like, and you're a teacher, and I went through a teacher prep program here in New York, and all the classes, I don't remember any of them other than one, and it was called Teaching in the Middle School, and I happen to teach in the middle school, so like it's nice that I'm where I feel like I should be. But there's like the number one thing I remember is like kids, specifically teenagers, are going through puberty and whatnot and experiencing the ultimate body horror, which is their bodies changing, and often like at the worst possible times for them. Their brains are soaking in chemicals that they've never experienced before, so their emotions are betraying them, their thoughts are betraying them, their physical is betraying them, and the worst thing about it, everything feels like it's the end of the world. So taking a story that's like, let's say, a slasher story, right? For adults, call the cops, buy a gun, protect yourself, do what you got to do. For a kid, try to convince your parents that like, hey, somebody's out on the lawn. Try to tell your friends like, hey, we got to be careful. They don't believe you. Teachers don't believe you. Nobody believes you. So taking normal horror tropes and applying them to a younger readership is pretty easy. And it's fun, to be honest. Like, there's rules in middle grade that don't exist in YA. YA is just like writing for adults. It's just that your lead is younger. But it's just taking things that we would all be normally scared of and bringing it to kids. They're just as scared of these things as we are. They may act like they're not, but they definitely are. And a good example of that, again, would be talking about the idea of like a group dynamic. Sometimes you know the right thing to do, but you don't do the right thing because everybody around you is making the wrong decision. And you don't want to be the only person not making that decision. So sometimes you make the wrong one on purpose because you want to go along, right? Like, that's part of social hierarchy in school. And that's really scary. That stuff is really scary for kids. So it's a lot of fun writing for younger readers. It's a lot of fun writing for adults too. My next book is for adults, and I can't talk about it much, but I do love writing for younger kids. I've definitely gotten the best like letters from kids, as opposed to like, I get the stuff from adults too, but the best ones are from kids.
And I think to you and Clay and Jeremy, just kind of, I know you haven't wrote for that age yet, but you've read it. We were all middle schoolers at one time, and
That's
kind
true.
of what you see of what you've seen from that kind of genre subset.
Well, I think like one of the things with horror, which is why like I find it necessary to be like really discerning when it comes to consuming horror, because there's so much of it that's just not great, and you kind of have to wade through it and sort of develop through it. And sometimes you start watching a movie and it's like, oh right, and then they just stab everybody. That's okay. But like when you get to stuff for like a younger audience that is supposed to be scary, there's a lot more like creativity and effort put into what the actual horror elements are, because you can't just actually stab anybody on Nickelodeon. It's crazy.
True.
But what you can have is Invader Zim, which is absolutely demented and weird and oftentimes horrific in a lot of different ways, that you can just show to children, which is wild. But like,
friggin' Courage the Cowardly Dog, man.
Courage the Cowardly Dog, man.
Courage goes
The
hard.
stuff of actual nightmares, and like nobody even dies, or that nobody.
Wow.
Well, just calm down, okay? Just calm down. But no, it just feels more refreshing and a little bit more like there's like extra, someone's in it for the love of the game and not just the love of, say, stabbing, or gore.
Sure.
Yeah, I think of like I'm glad you mentioned those, because I just watched a little Courage the Cowardly Dog the other day, so that's kind of cool.
So good.
That popped up. But I try to think like watching movies that are specifically for kids that are horror, right? And there's like two in the past like decade that I could think of that I was like, yes, quite good. And it's like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was excellent. That movie is excellent and terrifying, and the stakes are very high, and it deals with a lot of interesting and difficult issues for kids. And then I just watched one recently, and I know like we all hate Mel Gibson, he's awful and everything, but this movie, it's on Paramount Plus, it's called Monster Summer. Deals with sort of the ideas that we've been a little bit talking about here of like losing yourself, trying to find who you are, while also dealing with some sort of external horror-based threat. And it's really, it was actually very good. And I did not expect it to be, but it was really quite wonderful. And when it comes to horror that does stuff like that really well, especially for younger readers, I think we're very lucky because in the YA and middle grade space right now, we have a lot of really great people doing work there and writing great stuff. Alyssa, who you have on soon, has a wonderful middle grade horror book.
Yeah, Izzy Hoffman.
Yeah, it's just
Shout out to
awesome.
Izzy Hoffman.
And there's a lot more coming. I'm not allowed to say, but there's a book coming from Laura Senf that's remarkable.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, and these are people who are not afraid to confront very strong, difficult themes in their work, and it's like kids can handle that,
Yeah.
And even going back to like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Talking about Nickelodeon, right? Like, the very first episode was the Tale of the Twisted Claw, which is just all it is the monkey's paw, right? And it is terrifying. The things that happen in that episode are scary as hell and extremely dark for a show from the early 90s that wasn't allowed to show blood, violence, sex, nudity, or anything. And the tale of laughing in the dark with the clown and the cigar smoke, terrifying. It's nightmare stuff. And kids can handle that.
They can indeed. Just as Travis, I think we got. Do you want to do your pretentious question of the week, and then we'll rate this?
Oh, I don't know if I have one necessarily this week.
Even knowing that I'm a Criterion guy, you don't have.
I come up with them on the
my dinner with Andre for the
I come up with them on the fly usually, and I think we've circled around a lot of the topics I would have used, but done so very efficiently. I do have one more question though, and that's you mentioned the Thing video game, the Thing prequel, and the Thing sequel that you wrote and never produced. And I do think I haven't talked too much about many of our guests about like different story outlets. I actually had a fellow student in undergrad who wrote his final thesis for graduation on like video games as a medium. And I think that's definitely something that is really true and valuable of how to tell a story when you're interacting with the actual story via controls. So yeah, I don't know, maybe that is the pretentious question of the week. Like, how much does medium affect a story, and like what are some of your favorites that you see, film, books, video games? Where do you really feel engagement with a story? Because I'm not a video game guy. I've tried, and like I get into RPGs sometimes. I like the online multiplayer games with my friends. I got into Zelda for like a month and a half straight and then have never touched it again. But that's kind of how I am with them. But I do think they're a very valuable medium, and I get why people love them. So yeah, from everybody, just kind of what is your favorite medium for story and why?
You want to start, Jeremy?
Yeah, I can get into this. Let's dig in. Well, first of all, I object to the premise of the question.
Oh.
Yeah, because
I don't know what is objectionable about it.
Well, like, what is your favorite medium of a story is like saying, like, okay, do you prefer paintings, sculptures, movies, or music? I'm like, what? That they're not. That's, people say comparing apples to oranges, which are actually very comparable things that you can and should compare. So you have, that's like comparing apples to bicycles. They're not the same.
That is completely not true. Like, I don't like a medium can be any of those things. A medium can tell. If you like art as a visual medium the most to tell a story, that's still a medium. Poetry is still
a medium. I know they're all mediums, but what do you changes read the between most say, let's narrow this to movies or video games. Now,
okay,
the presence of the controller, especially when we're talking about something like horror, drastically changes what you're feeling. Because like one of the like scary things about a non-interactive medium is that you have no control over what's happening. And with a lot of games, as with a lot of video games, especially like when there's a horror element, there is also a gun. And like when you are in control of what, say, the character is doing, and that character has a gun, you're not going to be scared as easily as you would be just watching some yuts on the screen doing things. So I object to the premise of the question, but to answer the question anyway, because I'm a professional.
Sure.
I will, of course, say that it depends. Honestly, it really does depend, because the story has to fit the medium that is being told. That's why something like Portal in video games, that works really well. Baldur's Gate 3, fantastic, great, we love it. Minecraft, even if you want to like be just an archaeologist / monster hunter and dig up whatever the story of the world is there. But then there are things that are best told as movies, where your input is not needed and would actually ruin things. And I think so generally it is going to be movies for me, because I can just like, pop that in, watch it, great, and be done with it, know how I feel, and move on with my day. But when it comes to something like books, book horror doesn't often like really do it for me, because it's something that's so long and drawn out that like the actual feeling of being scared or feeling tension rise, it has to take breaks, and the pace of reading a book kills a lot of tension for me, unless it's done very, very well, in which case I'm still worried when I've set the book down. But I don't know.
So you're saying you have a preference of mediums?
Well,
it sounded like movies was the answer, and all of those other options suck for Jeremy's reasons.
That's funny. I will agree with Jeremy that there's very little literary horror, or very little horror on the written page that actually is scary to me. Like I still have books that do scare the shit out of me, and I hold them very close to myself, but I read a lot of stuff. The past year, I've been reading a little bit less actually than I have in previous years, but very little of it actually scares me. And I'm not saying it's not written well and it's not interesting, or it has some spooky parts or whatever, but stuff that legitimately rattles me to the core is very few and far between. Like you mentioned Tremblay, Tremblay in the Pallbearers Club, he has something in there that really shook me to the core. That's just one example, but it's difficult to choose a particular medium. I do find that in video games specifically, my tastes have changed so much, and I have so little patience now for games compared to when I was younger, that I don't often give games a very fair shake. I just started Far Cry 6, and as soon as I got to the point where my character had a alligator sidekick that would eat people after I'm shooting them and stuff, I was like, is this where this game is now? Are we running around with animals? Because it's a pretty fascinating story of Far Cry 6. Latin American country being taken over by a fascist and you fighting back. It's a cool narrative. But running around with an alligator seems like a bridge too far. So I uninstalled it and gave up. And I've been playing a game called Dave the Diver. Which you are a diver hired by an old friend of yours who is a former gun runner, who has opened a sushi restaurant on the edge of a blue hole, which you guys know what a blue hole is, right?
Yes.
No.
It's very cool. And you spend the day diving, catching fish, exploring the blue hole, finding all this cool stuff. And then at night, you run the sushi restaurant with the chef, and you choose what goes on the menu. You choose what is served. You pour sake, you pour beer. Like it's a very fun, very sweet, satisfying gameplay loop. I'm very much a gameplay loop guy now because when I play games, I want to have a good time. I don't want to, when it comes to narrative, like when GTA 6 comes out, I'm going to need people to not talk to me for a while because I'm going to be playing GTA 6. But like, you know, beyond that, like I find, unless I'm like fully engrossed in the narrative, which can often only be presented in games, like the guys at Rockstar, everyone's always like, yeah, make your games into movies, make your games into movies. Fundamentally, they wouldn't work as movies because the only way they can present that material is through the form of video game. It's like Watchmen. Watchmen is a movie I love. Watchmen is the TV show I did not like, but Watchmen as the comic book is perfect and really only works in comic book form. Even though the movie, like I said, I love and I think it works very well, the comic book is the way that story is meant to be read, right? So I do think of all the mediums out there, I think comic book might be my favorite just because I guess I'm a big kid and I like seeing Booster Gold flying around Metropolis with Superman, and I like seeing him and Blue Beetle being silly in the pages of Justice League International, and like I love seeing my heroes all come together, you know, but like they all present things so differently. Like the Marvel movies, some of them work, some of them don't. DC movies, some of them work, some of them don't. Comic books usually always work for me, unless it's just so poorly written. And in which case it's usually Tom King's fault. But like it's just one of those things where
shots being fired tonight.
I love it.
It looks like someone threw a sparkler in an ammo case on Fermented Fiction.
Yeah, Robert's out for blood.
No, he's out for blood to water the
He's got
plants.
to water his
Yeah.
plants.
Well, yeah, you gotta water those plants. And blood doesn't just come out of thin air, guys.
True, but I think
Comes out
Jeremy's
of
right.
mammals.
Like all the mediums are very different. All the mediums are very different depending on what you're trying to do.
Interesting. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't disagree with that, Clay.
It's really hard to pick a favorite, and I don't think the question you're asking is what I consume the most. I think you're asking which one do I enjoy the most, and I do think it's an answerable question. It's a hard question to answer, but I'm gonna look at it this way. I definitely consume the most like movies or shows. After that, audiobooks. After that, regular books. Somewhere distantly down after that is like theater, live theater. And that is my favorite medium, bar none, to experience a story. I love live theater. I love plays. I love musicals. And if I'm looking at an experience of entertainment, movies and a couple of books would be the close second. But like when if I think about which kind of art have I consumed that elicits the most emotional reaction from me or buy-in on like biological and psychological levels, it's definitely theater. You know, I'm fully engaged. You walk into a theater and you sit in those seats, so you've got that experience of novelty baked in that I think allows you to suspend disbelief in a way that allows good theater to happen. And you go along for a ride. And when theater is done well, you get art on so many forms. You get the stagecraft, you get the acting, you get the singing, you get the music, you get the reactions of the people to your right and to your left. It's an awesome experience. And so I think that would be my favorite medium. Like if you're like, do you want to read a book, watch a movie, or go to a play? It's all free. I'll go to the play every time.
And what's fascinating too with live theater, because I'm also a live theater guy for sure, like Reformed theater kid, but like it's always interesting to see like retooled or stories that are like readapted, right? Like I remember seeing a performance of Hamlet. Not Hamlet. Yeah, no, it was Hamlet. Presented as though it was a 1950s military drama on stage, and it was so interesting, and it was just such a cool way to present it. I think theater is more malleable too, that compared to other mediums. That's a great point. Like I'm going to see Dog Day Afternoon on Broadway, and I could not be more excited to see how they do that on Broadway.
Yeah.
Not that it's like something so crazy that they can't do it, but like to see John Bernthal and Eben Moss-Bacharach live on the stage doing Dog Day Afternoon is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So I love that you said live theater. That's such a great
one of my fondest memories is Clay. I don't remember if you went with me to Once. Did you go to Once with me in Seattle?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I drove down and visited Clay when he lived in Seattle, and we watched Once, which was an adaptation of, for those who don't know, an Irish film from like 2000, early 2000s. That was very famous for being like very raw. It's basically just these two actual musicians living the life of musicians and like a camera shakily following them around, and it works really well. And so seeing how they adapted that was just absolutely fantastic, and how they like took that rawness to like a really interactive experience with the crowd. All that to be said, though, I think to Clayton's point, like what I enjoy the most, I wish I could say books. I'm a voracious reader. I love books. But if you were to say you get one more before you pass or something, like movie, book, or theater, I would go movies. I love the theater. I love going to the movie theater. I love seeing film on the big screen. I get the most like feeling out of it when I leave. I just want to immediately talk about it, which is the whole reason we started the show. So yeah, that's like, I love books. I'm a huge fan of reading, but when I have a day off to relax, nothing makes me happier than going to the movie theater and seeing what's out there. But that is all I got for questions today.
What's the next thing that you want to see in theaters?
It's a little sad weekend right now, but let me real quick. There was one. I have a terrible memory is another thing about me. I kind of want to see Eternity.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That new romance movie that's out
A24.
about, I think, they produced it, and it's about like it's about a woman, or no, a man who dies, and so she had a husband before that died, and she gets remarried, and then they both die like pretty close to each other, and there's this like middle place before you go into the eternal afterlife where you get to pick who you want to live with, and so it's this romance about like, does she choose her husband from years ago or her husband of now? It looks very interesting and sweet, and I want to see how it ends.
John Early is also in it, and he is hysterical. So that's a good pick.
Yeah.
I think the next movie I'm stupid excited about, and it's like the total opposite end of the spectrum. I feel like an idiot even mentioning it, but it's the new Hunger Games movie. I cannot believe how good that looks.
My wife is pumped because she read the book and was like, this is probably the best Hunger Games book they've made.
I loved teaching the Hunger Games. Like, that was so much fun teaching the Hunger Games. Like, the kids were super into it. But seeing that trailer for that new one in my head, my wife was telling me all about the new book, and I was like, that sounds really cool. Like, I don't know how it's going to work. And then when they were announcing the cast for the new one, I was like, Jesse Plemons is young Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Ralph Fiennes is freaking the main villain. Like, best actor for villains.
It just looks amazing. But yeah, and I'm excited for Supergirl whenever that comes out.
Oh yes,
I want to see the Odyssey.
I forgot about the Odyssey.
I know, right?
I mean, I'm trying to keep that out of my head because it's so long, and I don't want to wait I don't want to be excited for like a whole year. But that's my top of my list.
The thing that breaks my heart about going back to the Netflix thing is we might not get, and my favorite superhero of all time is Booster Gold. I love Booster Gold so much, but the fact that like we might not get a Booster Gold show now because of this stupid Netflix. And it's like, I saw Kumail Nanjiani on Broadway, right? And he was rumored for a long time to be the new Booster Gold, and he's ripped as shit. He's like 5 feet tall, but he is ripped as shit and he looks great. Leaving him on the sidelines to not be Booster Gold because stupid Netflix bought DC kills me.
I mean, you're kind of on the sidelines anyway if you get cast as Booster Gold.
Not with James Gunn running the show. He loves his funny guys. Come on.
He does love just weirdos, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. We are a little bit over time. Jeremy, do you have a movie you're looking forward to? Then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, friggin' I don't know. I mean, Booster Gold, whenever that comes out. Come on, guys.
Hell yeah.
James Gunn, get it.
Booster Gold.
Get on it, James Gunn. Please. Come on. Where are you?
James Gunn gets shit done. You know, we
Yeah.
can count on James. Okay. Final thing we have to do tonight, and then Robert, we'll have you talk about who you are and where you are one more time. We rate this thing, but our system isn't the most. It's not the most useful system. Everything's pretty relative, speaking in those terms. So we're gonna tell you how many drinks or substances of your choice, whatever those may be, do you need to enjoy The Thing from Another World to the fullest extent. And we'll start with Travis.
Oh man, yeah, it's hard for classic black and white films. I'd say you have two rules. One is a good rule and one is a silly rule. So your first rule is these are all going to be in sips, so you're not going to consume too much by the end of this. Maybe like 3 beers. Pour a beer, take a sip every time you're like impressed by the dialogue, because I think that's going to happen pretty frequently in this film. And then on the opposite end of that, take a sip every time it's like very silly in 1950s, like, see, it's an alien, see? We have to carve this thing out of the ice, see?
Transatlantic, yeah.
Yeah. That transatlantic accent, every time that the silliness outweighs the good dialogue, take a sip, but then every time the opposite happens where you're like, man, this is like really solid, take a sip. And you'll probably finish 3 to 4 beers by the end of that.
That's a great one. I'm going to piggyback off that. Mine is drinking Irish coffees throughout.
Sure.
But you should do that with Travis's rules. And you should be done with a cup of coffee in between each time that Nikki brings coffee to the crew. So you'll be drinking at least 3 cups, but you can drink at a faster pace if you wish. But you need to be ready for Nikki to top you off, because she's not working hard out there for no reason.
Exactly. Thank you, Nikki, for bringing me the coffee. See, I really appreciate the coffee, Nikki. Yeah.
Exactly. If she shows up, you do have to finish the coffee.
You do. Yeah, then you got to chug it. So it'll be chilled a bit by then, at least. It depends on how you make it. Jeremy, what's your rating?
Well, hey.
See, you got to tell the people at the Fermented universe.
Oh, I'm gonna get into my rating here. So what we need is, I think Clay is mostly correct. You need some kind of coffee, because that's almost everything we see drunk in the film. It's great. You'll want Nikki to come and top you off. Fantastic. It's either that, or if you can find some kind of unidentifiable brown liquor in a green or brown bottle with a large white label.
Sure.
You know, preferably if you're pretending to be tied to your chair while somebody just pours it into your mouth, that's even better. But you'll want, similar to what Travis said, whenever the dialogue impresses you, like, wow, this is the 1950s, and this is actually pretty good, snapping right along, you'll want to sip. You'll also want to sip whenever somebody just starts talking over somebody else, like, and expecting you to, I guess, understand what everybody's saying. But okay.
Lavaliers
What
were
I'm
in
saying
their
is,
infancy, if they existed at all.
yeah, they were just like bam, 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 bam. Everybody just, come on, guys. I had to watch with subtitles to not be like, what the fuck is going on? Okay. And then, of course, you know, you'll want to do, just separate from that, a shot whenever the scientist guy has just his massive hate boner for emotions.
Sure.
Just
Can't
showing.
Can't have them.
Boy, does he
Just
not
like
like those. Get that shit out of there.
Worse
Now, emotions are scientifically explainable phenomena in the human brain, and you know, if he's a man of science, just what's your deal, man? Hey, man. Hey, man. All right, and then once another sip every time the monster is like visible on screen, so you don't think like did they just reuse Frankenstein's monster costume for this guy?
It's entirely possible.
I think they maybe did.
There weren't
And then,
many
yeah.
studio buildings back then, man. They had to work with what they were using.
Yeah, they had to work with what they got.
That thing was
Okay.
asbestos and lead.
Yeah,
And
it was
oxygen.
so close to being just a bomb that causes cancer.
Yeah.
It was so close.
And
So
that's
close.
why classic cinema is so good, because the risks were that high.
High stakes. You
Because
can't
they
beat those
built
stakes.
bombs that caused cancer. It's great.
Yes.
Perfect.
Go back and
Cheers,
revisit your
everyone.
Criterion Classics. Robert P. Ottone, how would you rate this thing, and where can people find you? What the hell are you doing here? Who are you? All those questions.
I rate it very highly. I would say what I would do is I like the idea of a Irish coffee, but I would do Italian coffee with some amaretto in there instead, and I would do it cold. Drinking it from the second they turn on the Geiger counter as the creature's coming to the door. Start drinking it and end when he runs out on fire into the cold. That's when you stop it. See how many you drink in that time. And you can find me on Instagram at Robert Ottone and on Letterboxd at Robert Ottone.
Or after watching this movie doing that on the floor.
That is true. That is true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of floors, we've gone well through our time floor, our time ceiling, our time walls. It's all over. It's all flattened out, but we had a great time hanging out with you today, Robert. Thanks for coming on the show, man. It was a great time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the viewers. We are Fermented Fiction, Clay, Travis, and Jeremy. As per usual, we now have a Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/fermentedfiction. Please go do that. We have very low starting tiers, lots of fun perks. We're going to have funny t-shirts coming out from a few different artists, and we will have exclusive content on there. So,
Oh yeah.
if you wanna find out what's so exclusive about it, what's so damn special, come on over to Patreon and you can find out firsthand, because we believe in that, as long as you pay us $5. Thank you, viewers, for being here. We really truly do appreciate you. Thanks again, Robert. Thank you guys for being the Stooges with me. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.